Most people probably think or feel that they are good people. But what does it really mean to be a good person? Are humans naturally good, or is it something we learn? Welcome to Curiosum channel, where we dive into the mysteries of science, philosophy, geography, and current affairs. Morality is the set of principles that guide human behavior. But where did it come from? Some philosophers argue that morality is innate and universal, while others believe it is learned through socialization and cultural conditioning. For example, the philosopher Immanuel Kant argued that morality is based on reason and that moral principles are universal and necessary for all rational beings. According to Kant, we have an inherent sense of what is right and wrong, which is not based on emotions or personal preferences. On the other hand, the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau argued that morality is learned through socialization and cultural conditioning. According to Rousseau, we are born as blank slates and our sense of morality is shaped by the society we grow up in. Peter Singer, in his 1972 article, Famine, Affluence, and Morality, argues that individuals in affluent societies have a moral obligation to help those in need, based on the principle of universalizability. This suggests that our sense of morality is based on a universal understanding of what is right and wrong. The question of what makes people good or bad is a complex one. In many cultures, morality is determined by religious teachings or cultural traditions. But even within a culture, there can be differing opinions on what is morally right or wrong. For example, homosexuality is widely accepted in many Western cultures, but in other cultures, it is seen as morally wrong. Similarly, while it may be acceptable to beat children in some African cultures, it is widely considered immoral in the West. One way to determine what is morally right or wrong is to consider the consequences of our actions. Utilitarianism, a philosophical theory developed by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, suggests that the morality of an action should be based on its ability to promote happiness or pleasure for the greatest number of people. However, this approach can be problematic because it doesn't take into account the rights of individuals. For example, it may be morally right to execute an innocent person if it would prevent a greater number of deaths, but most people would consider this action immoral because it violates the individual's right to life. It's important to note that what is legal is not always moral. Laws are created by governments and can vary from country to country. But morality is based on universal principles of right and wrong. For example, while it may be legal to own a firearm in the United States, it is not necessarily morally right to use it to harm others. On the other hand, something can be immoral but legal, such as cheating on your spouse. Religion has played a significant role in shaping our sense of morality. Many people are taught to follow a certain set of moral principles based on their religious beliefs. However, it's important to recognize that not everyone follows the same religion or has the same beliefs. Furthermore, it's possible that some people do good things not because they want to, but because they fear eternal damnation or punishment from a higher power. This raises the question of whether people are truly good if they are only motivated by fear of punishment. When it comes to the morality of our actions, it's important to consider not just what we do, but also why we do it. For example, when people give to charity, it's often seen as a selfless and altruistic act. However, it's important to recognize that even seemingly selfless actions may be motivated by a variety of factors, including a desire for social recognition or personal satisfaction. This is not to say that giving to charity or engaging in other seemingly selfless acts is inherently wrong or immoral. Rather, it's important to recognize that our actions may be shaped by a variety of factors, both conscious and unconscious. By understanding our own motivations and biases, we can strive to make more informed and ethical choices in our daily lives. The possibility of consequences is often what keeps people from committing immoral acts. If there were no consequences for our actions, how would we behave? This is a question explored in the Purge movies, where for one night a year, all crime, including murder, is legal. In this scenario, people are given the license to act on their darkest desires without fear of punishment. The concept of the Purge in the movie series of the same name provides an interesting thought experiment. In The Purge, the government legalizes all crime for one night, including murder. The idea is that people will release their pent-up aggression and frustration in one night, which will reduce crime for the rest of the year. While this may seem like a radical and extreme scenario, it does raise questions about the role of consequences in keeping people from committing immoral acts. If there were no consequences for our actions, would we still behave morally? It's impossible to know for sure, but it's worth considering. This raises the question of whether humans are naturally good or whether we only behave in a moral way because we are afraid of the consequences. While it's impossible to say for sure, it's clear that consequences play a significant role in shaping our behavior. The issue of imposing beliefs on others is another significant aspect of morality and ethics. It's important to recognize that while we may have deeply held beliefs and values, we do not have the right to force those beliefs onto others. Let's say someone believes that it's wrong to have premarital sex based on their religious beliefs. They may judge others who engage in premarital sex, even though it doesn't necessarily harm anyone. However, it's important to recognize that everyone has their own beliefs and values when it comes to sex and relationships, and it's not our place to impose our beliefs on others. An analogy to consider is the idea of dress code. Some people may believe that women should dress modestly based on their religious or cultural beliefs. However, it's not their place to impose those beliefs on others, especially if it goes against their personal beliefs and values. Everyone should have the right to dress as they please, as long as they are not harming others. Ultimately, it's important to recognize that everyone has their own beliefs and values, and it's not our place to impose our beliefs onto others. Instead, we should strive for empathy and understanding, and work towards creating a society where people can practice their beliefs without fear of discrimination or judgment. In conclusion, the question of whether humans are naturally good or bad is a complex one. Morality is shaped by a variety of factors, including socialization, cultural traditions, religious beliefs, and personal values. What makes people good or bad is subjective and can vary from person to person and culture to culture. When we consider whether humans are naturally good people, it's important to understand that there are different perspectives on this issue. Some people may argue that humans are naturally good, while others may argue that humans are naturally bad or flawed in some way. From a philosophical perspective, the idea of humans being naturally good or bad is often associated with the concept of human nature. Some philosophers argue that human nature is inherently good, meaning that people are born with certain innate moral values and tendencies towards cooperation and altruism. Other philosophers argue that human nature is inherently bad, meaning that people are born with selfish and aggressive tendencies. In reality, however, it's likely that human nature is a complex and nuanced concept, and that individuals may vary in their moral tendencies based on a variety of factors such as culture, upbringing, and personal experiences. So, to answer the question of whether humans are naturally good people, it's difficult to provide a simple answer. While some individuals may be predisposed towards certain moral behaviors, it's important to recognize that morality is a complex and multifaceted concept that is shaped by a variety of factors. It's important to recognize that what is legal is not always moral, and that consequences play a significant role in keeping people from committing immoral acts. While we may never fully understand the origins of morality, ultimately, it's up to each individual to make choices that align with their own personal values and beliefs, and to work towards creating a more just and equitable society for all. Thanks for watching. Kindly like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.